Do. Am I streaming yet? What? It looks like it's working. I think it is. Well, let's leave that here then. We will wait a few minutes until 7 o'clock rolls around, and then knowledge will be shared. My brain will open up and this stuff will just pour out. Who am I kidding? It's not. No. It's not my knowledge. It's someone else's. I'm stealing it. So, how's everyone's week been going? Just checking. My week. It's been an okay week, but I am happy that I am here now to talk to you guys about writing. I haven't really done much writing myself. It's been kind of busy. But I have done some research on various things, because today we are going to talk about Act 1. And oh my goodness, there is a whole schwack load of stuff that is out there, and it's conflicting. It's almost like everyone has their own thing that they like to do, and it contradicts what someone else likes to do. So it's almost like you can do whatever you want. It's not quite true, I don't think. However, there is some commonalities among them. So, let's get this party started. I just wanted to talk about some of the things I found before we do any writing sprints or anything like that. We're going to talk about some of the information I found that will blow your mind and maybe make you angry. I don't know. The first one is from the blog wellstoried.com. It's well-storied.com by Kristen Kiefer? Something. Can you read that? There you go. I downloaded this, Exploring Your Novel's Opening Chapters, which is what we're talking about today. Let me just read the first little bit here. The first act of the 3-act story structure consists of 3 important hallmarks: the hook, the inciting incident, and the first plot point. These hallmarks make up anywhere from the first 15 to 25% of a novel. Okay, yes. I'm going to say yes. Wait a minute, am I missing a sheet? Oh, there it is. Yes. Not a lot of them have, well, no, they all kind of mention hooks and stuff. So maybe yes, in city. We'll continue. So far, so good. Nailing your novel's hook. The hook is the very first scene or sequence in your novel, and its purpose is to do just that, to hook your reader, like a fish hook. Or if you're a pirate, a little bigger. Hook. Introduce the protagonist. Establish the protagonist's everyday life. Show the protagonist dealing with an everyday conflict. That's more of like the introductory stuff. It's not really I don't know if that's the hook. The hook is something like, She goes on to talk about the Hunger Games, and I think, let me just tell you what I think the hook in the first kind of chapter is while the protagonist, I don't even remember her name. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can quickly, Katniss, that's right, Katniss. I knew it was a weird name. It's been a while since I've read them. Katniss. The first chapter is her going out and hunting. That's what she's doing. She's preparing for the reaping, and she goes out with a friend who she kind of likes, maybe. You don't know. Oh my goodness, does she like him? I don't know. And so is establishing her everyday life. She lives in this zone. She lives in District 12. She likes to go hunting every day with her friend. She trades. She makes money that way. She looks after her family. But the hook, I think, is all the details that she doesn't explain. She treats the whole thing like the reader knows what's going on and doesn't explain it right away. So until near the end of the chapter. So what's the reaping? What are the other districts? What's this capital thing? Why are they needing tributes of young children, and et cetera, et cetera? So I think it's kind of, the hook is combined. Yeah, anyway, we'll see. She says, the hook, Katniss is introduced as a responsible, determined teenager who hunts illegally to feed her family, who suffers under the rule of the capital. I'm not sure if that's really a hook, though. I'm still up in the air. It's okay if you disagree with me, too. Or you think she's right. The second hallmark of Act 1 is the inciting incident, the event that sets the story in motion. Something in the protagonist's worlds changes, providing them with the opportunity to assuage their dissatisfaction or present them with new dangers they must overcome. So yes, okay. The inciting incident. However, this is where I start to disagree a bit about it, because in Hunger Games, Katniss' beloved younger sister Prim is randomly chosen to participate in the televised fight to the death. That's the inciting incident. Okay, kind of makes sense. But you know where it happens? I had to look this up in the book. Do you know when Prim is chosen? It's not like chapter 3. It is the end of chapter 1. So if that's the inciting incident, it's not happening, a little bit in after a few chapters of introducing and blah, blah, blah. No, it's like jumping right into the story. End of chapter 1, something happens that rocks Katniss' world. Silly name. Anyway, and the first plot point. Several scenes occur between the inciting incident and the final hallmark of Act 1, which is the first plot point. It represents the moment of no return in which the protagonist at last chooses to engage with the action of the story. And again, in Hunger Games, Katniss volunteers to take her sister's place in the games, thus pulling her into the heart of the story. That happens right away in chapter 2. So the first plot point is a chapter and a couple pages in. That makes no sense. I'm looking at you, Karen. No, Kristen Kiefer. I don't know if I agree with you. I'm pointing at you. That's probably rude. I don't think I agree with you. I think you're wrong. I was probably more a little forgivable or not so aggressive. We'll see. Anyway, so the first plot point is a major turning point in the story. Yes. By pushing your protagonist into an adventure far outside their comfort zone. So I couldn't find, I had to borrow quickly a copy and I only glanced through it. I think it ends, Susan Collins apparently is more of a playwright. So she read all her books with 3 sections of 9 chapters. So Act 1 is 9 chapters, Act 2 is 9 chapters, Act 3 is 9 chapters, instead of a bigger Act 2. I'm guessing, but I cannot confirm this because even though I work in a library, our copy is gone because it's still popular. People love Hunger Games, yo. And so I don't know. I think maybe the end of the first section is when she leaves and she goes to the Capitol. No, that can't be that. Maybe that's when the Hunger Games. Usually it's they've made a decision, they're moving forward with something, and usually there's a change in location to sort of symbolize or to show that they're moving forward. It's not So that is what I'm thinking. Either she's left for the Capitol, which I think might be a little too late, or it's when the actual games begin and Act 2 is... Whoever has a copy of the book, please tell me. And then this one, 4 tips for writing a great first plot point. This I got from Masterclass. Do you see that? Masterclass/articles, how to write the... So you guys can go there if you want to. An effective first plot point serves as blah, blah, blah. Okay. 1, Recognize that placement is key. The first plot point marks the end of the first act and serves as a bridge into Act 2. Yes. Okay. Maybe there's more depth in that. Yes. Typically, you want to ensure that your first major plot point happens around the quarter of the way into the story. So the end of Act 1, 25%. Don't make it huge, I guess, earlier. Don't put it off too late. Make sure your first plot point provides emotional stakes. That's number 2, by the way. The first one and now the second one. Make sure your first plot point, yes. In Star Wars, for example, Luke Skywalker's discovery that his aunt and uncle have been murdered provides him with an emotional reason to accompany Obi-Wan to Alderaan. I suppose that's true. I agree with that. Because the inciting incident would be something like in Star Wars. What happens? It's not by the droids. It's probably when the droids run off. They leave, and Luke goes after them. That's kind of like the beginning. Because up until that point, their lives are pretty much the same. If they didn't buy those droids, they would have bought another droids, and life would have gone on. But it was when the droids took off, and Luke went after them. And then he meets Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan says, "Hey, come with me to Alderaan. I will teach you in the ways of the Force." And Luke's like, "Nah, I don't want to go. I have to stay here. I have to go pick up some power converters from Tashi Station." But when he goes back and his aunt and uncle are killed, then boom, he has nothing tying him back anymore, and he can accept the offer to go. So anyway, and use the first, and this is number 3. Use the first plot point to change your character's surroundings. Sometimes this means sending them to a new world, while the other time it means changing the characters who surround them. Either way, the first plot point is the moment that your protagonist leaves the everyday world laid out in the first chapter. In Harry Potter, Harry's discovery that he's a wizard impels him towards Hogwarts to begin his new life of magic. Faux shizzle. Can't argue with that one. And 4, ensure that the consequences of refusal are dire. It's like the point of no return. The character, he has to accept, or she has to accept. We're not sexist here. So make sure there are stakes. They can't just, sit and do nothing. Then, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not sure how much I can get into all of this. We'll try a little bit. Act 1. This is from the novelsmithy.com. What is Act 1? Act 1 is so beautiful. Act 1 is built on 4 plot points. 1, the hook. Okay, that's similar. 2, the inciting incident. Yes. 3, the key event. Well, what? What's that? And the first plot point. See, this I've been trying to figure out. I'm not sure I agree with this person either, but I'm not a writer yet. Until I publish a few books, I don't think I can argue with anybody and have any grounds to do it. J.K. Rowling came in and told me I was wrong, I'd probably say, yes, ma'am. But I'm sure if these people heard me say I disagree with them, they'd be like, who cares? There is one thing that he talks about, understanding the dramatic question. That's something to think about. That is sort of the question that is asked by your plot point at the end of Act 1. Like, okay, so Luke's going off to Alderaan with this old man to deliver some droids and possibly save the rebellion. So now the dramatic question, I guess you could say, is, are they going to succeed? Is he going to learn to be a Jedi like his father before him? Are they going to succeed? So, interesting stuff for shizzle. Then, the dramatic question sets up your reader's expectations and gets them invested in your story's world and characters. While Act 1 needs to cover all the basics, establishing your dramatic question is the real purpose of this act. So I guess, are they going to succeed in doing what they need to do? So they have a hook. Yes, the hook is, we've talked about that, so we're not going to talk about it again. So we'll keep going. Still on this guy's written a lot about hooks. I think he likes hooks a little too much. Sweet Mary. Okay. Oh, this is where he talks about the inciting incident. The inciting incident is the true start of your novel's plot, essentially acting as the spark that lights the match. It begins the irreversible moment of your story's conflict by triggering whatever event will ultimately set your plot in motion. So far, so good. I agree with him. However, it's important to know that the inciting incident is only plot-focused. It's not concerned with your protagonist's involvement in said plot. That comes with the key event, which we'll look at next. So, what? So I guess, in his mind, the inciting incident for Star Wars A New Hope is the breakthrough of the rebel forces as they seek to gain the upper hand. So, like, they've got the plans to the Death Star, and they're fleeing, and she sends them off to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's the inciting incident. It has nothing to do with Luke, even though Luke's the protagonist. This is the inciting incident. I can kind of agree-ish. Sort of. I don't know. But it just seems weird to me. But something to think about. And then the key event is kind of like the inciting incident, but it's about the protagonist. So, yeah. It's when Luke and his uncle purchase R2-D2 and C-3PO, unaware of their rebel origins. I don't know. That doesn't seem like they've just gone about their regular day. That doesn't seem like Luke's not, it doesn't feel like he's active in that choice. Like, or that he doesn't care about buying, it's not like he made the decision to go and buy the droids or, yeah. I don't know. I'm still working this out. If you guys have any thoughts, please let me know. So that's the key action. And then, oh my goodness. There's a lot of stuff in it. Like, this guy has written pages and pages. If you want to go to his stuff, go look it up. And then his thoughts on the first plot point. It's acting as both the end of Act 1 and the doorway into Act 2. Yes. The first plot point is the pivotal moment where your protagonist begins their journey through an important decision they make. This could be the decision to set out on an adventure or sacrifice themselves or run away or speak up against their family, blah, blah, blah. So, this decision is almost always related to the key event, which you remember from part 2 is the moment your plot is introduced to your protagonist. This prompts your protagonist's decision here, which triggers their first steps of adventure by deciding to cross the threshold, even if they're forced to do so. Do they talk about Star Wars again? No, they talk about Mulan. And they talk about Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. So, yeah, that is those things, which are useful. It's fun to look it up, though. This I found, and it's a simple thing that I like. Because I think last time when we were talking about plot, this is just about Act 1, I talked about aiming for 20 chapters of 4,000 words each. And if you guys can do your maths, then that means, well, 4,000 words per chapter. But also, more importantly, 5 chapters for Act 1, 10 for Act 2, 5 for Act 3. 5 plus 10 plus 5 is 20. See? Knowledge. And this one I liked. It's from the History Quill. Can you guys see that? The History Quill. I like it because it is The Anatomy of Act 1. If you guys go to their website, look up The Anatomy of Act 1, you can download it too. It's pretty sweet. And I like it because it kind of introduces all of the points. It is 5 things, 5 chapters. So it kind of helps me. I need to break down things because I get easily overwhelmed. So if I can get things broken down to just this is what each chapter is going to do, I might be able to write this. Some people are able to just say, okay, I know the general Act 1 and I'm going to write it. That would freak me out. So anyway, the hook. The first element of Act 1 is the hook. Your opening pitch to the reader. It's your chance to show them the quality of your writing and grab their interest. It can come in the form of a prologue. It can be your first chapter. I mean, it could even be a flashback. Like, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, then the next part is introductions. Following the hook, your next important task is introduce your reader to the story, world, and your characters. This involves all of your main characters, their goals and motivations, showing the details of your settings. Then there's the inciting incident. Where are the story taking them? You got to tell the readers that. Then the call to adventure, which they accept or do not. Usually it's kind of, there's some time period before they accept it. They're like, oh, should I do this? Can I? I don't know. I think this is why the whole Hunger Games example used by Kristen, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, kind of threw me, because the call, you could say the inciting incident is her sister being picked. Then she immediately, there's no like hesitation, which you get. So I don't know what the call to adventure, would that be? Maybe I'll have to reread the book. And then the first plot point. So once again, and this I think helps because if I just kind of try and aim for, okay, first chapter, hook. Second chapter, fill in more details about the characters. Or I can combine those 2 chapters in a sense of 2 chapters filling in the details of the world and the everyday existence, but have like interesting hooks in those chapters that will be answered later on in the books. So for me, as I was talking about last week, it's BioWare is the book about people who sell their bodies for labor while they're sleeping. So yeah, just introducing that world, but also hinting at all sort of the other things about like, who are these? Maybe don't BioWare's mentioned, maybe whatever these workers are called, probably derogatory from everyone else. I wonder if they should wear masks. That would be very interesting. People who sell their bodies because they don't want to be known are given a mask that's sort of attached to their face so that no one really knows who these. I like it. In fact, I'm going to use it. Anyway, then the third chapter will be the inciting incident. For me, I think that would be he gets fired. He loses his job because work has decided to, we can get the work done for half the price by hiring these BioWare flesh jobs. I don't know. I got to come up with a cool word. So the call to adventure. I mean, he's homeless. Well, not homeless, but he's going to be homeless soon. And yeah. Interesting. I have to figure that one out. The call to adventure. There's a time period between where he loses his job and what is he going to do next? So I think that's going to involve him deciding whether or not he's going to join the program himself, which will bring us to the first plot point where he decides, oh yes, I need to eat. Apparently people need food to survive and a place to live, and I have neither if I don't have a job. So he signs up for the program. So that's his decision. He leaves the comfort of his old world going forward. And then lastly, I just wanted to show, I should just take this out, this one page, maybe a couple pages. That song is stuck in my head all day long, every day. So I apologize. when I do it. 6. So I need 6. I found a lovely workbook. Come on, open up there. This is called Plan Your Book, a 24-chapter novel writing template by Derek Murphy. The man is a genius, I tell you. A genius! I like him anyway. What I like about this is he does break it down. This whole thing that you print out is basically a workbook that you fill out to flesh out your entire novel in 24 chapters. And here, I'll just give you a little, this is sort of the overview of the whole thing. See that, everyone? Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So each act has 6, well, except for Act 2, which has 12, but you get the idea. So, Act 1, Hero and Ordinary World. First chapter, Really Bad Day. Chapter 2, Something Peculiar. 3, Grasping at Straws. Then the Inciting Incident happens. 4, Call to Adventure. 5, Head in Sand. 6, Pull Out Rug. And then first plot point. So we can talk about a little bit more detail. It's not a whole schwack of stuff, but Really Bad Day. So this is chapter 1. This is what he wants to talk about. And it's just a simple focus. There we go. Ordinary day, empathy, conflict, show. Ordinary world, empathy, conflict. So what the protagonist does, show them empathy so that we could care about them, show that there's conflict in their life, and show that there is a flaw. Probably, like, is this person a drunk? Do they have a short temper? Things like that. It's good to have a character flaw or 2 or 3. And lack. What do they want? In this case, he's probably, he's probably on like subsistence living, just scraping by, barely able to pay bills. So, yeah, a want, a problem, a need. So that's Really Bad Day. 2, Something Peculiar. Something unique or strange happens, but they dismiss it. Interesting. Trying to regain. See, maybe this could be, yeah. I'm trying to think of it in terms of my story, and I'm not sure I can figure it out. Something unique, or like you think that's the inciting incident, but I'm not sure that that's what he's talking about, because the inciting incident is at the end of chapter 3. Boom. So there's something else, something peculiar. So in my case, what would that be? Something unique or strange happens, maybe. Well, I suppose in this one, I do want him to save the cat idea. So maybe in this case, he could save the BioWare worker from being assaulted. So that is unique and unusual. So maybe the first day he's got a job, he's struggling, everyone's worried about they're losing their job to these people. Chapter 2, he's going home, he sees one of them being assaulted, he saves them. That is unique. And he doesn't like it. Even though he doesn't like the workers, he doesn't like what society's, he's trying to regain control of ordinary, but setbacks mount. Why would they try and see? Another thing for me to think about. I don't really know. Another thing. Anyway, we'll come back to this when we do writing sprints, because that's what we're going to just be doing, is filling out something along those lines, just picking points and filling them out. Inciting incidents, boom, at the end of chapter 3. I imagine that is where, So he finds out at the end of chapter 3, he's been fired. Then there's the call to adventure. See, in this one right here, it's kind of just one point, even though it could last numerous chapters. Sorry, can you see it? Yeah. However, in this one, there's call to adventure, then head in the sand, then the last chapter is when, Call to adventure. Something extraordinarily different happens. Well, he's been fired, so that's something that's very different. Major setback. Goes home. Doesn't know what he's going to do. Yes, maybe a little bundle of coins hidden under the floor, which will last him like a day or two. Goes out looking for work. So he's trying to... He's not... Yeah. He's fired. Oh, wait. Yeah, we've got to reference the girl that he saves. Maybe she gives him the card saying, if you ever need help, give me a call. And he's like, she can get him into the program. Something. Head in the sand, and the new interrupts the old and causes conflict. She shows up again. Says, you can do it. Like, come on, let me help you. I can get you some money, a job again. You may not like it, but it's better than starving. He still doesn't know. Pull out rug. So that basically means, I think, that he has to try desperately one last time to get back to his old world, because he doesn't want to join. And then I'm guessing he is kicked out of his house as well. So he has no place to go. His food is gone. He's locked, couldn't even go in to get his belongings. He literally is like, maybe it's midnight and you're homeless. You have no job to go to the next day. No food to eat. You're starving. Yeah. Boom. Okay. Thoughts, people? Okay, then. Let us start the first little bit here. We are going to do, I'm going to actually try and fill in. I know I did a little bit of this last week, but I kind of like this workbook, so I want to figure it out. What did I do with my pen? Where is my pen? My favorite pen. Okay, what time is it now? It is 7:30, so shall we say... Well, let's see how far we get. Let's see if we can... 30 minutes of filling in 5 or 6 points. So, hook, using this one. So a hook for a chapter, introducing everybody, inciting incident. Then there's kind of the call to adventure. Ends with, them all dying. No, it doesn't end with them all dying. First plot point where they decide to go forward. Another thing, hold on. I think I still, where's that? Oh, I put it in the back here. Or did I? Yes, I did. Another thing to think about, just before we start, is the Dan Harmon story circle. You could say that, oh, look, the green is gone again. That's crazy. And I'm invisible. So if this was 6 chapters, then place of comfort, something happens, inciting incident, they need something, they discover there's a shortage of something, they've lost their job, they need something now. And by the end of Act 1, they enter an unfamiliar situation. So you guys know it. Let's do this. Okay. But first, let me just turn to my workbook. And go. Go now. My hero. He is a very lonely guy. It's not really lonely. Active worker. I think I said that last time. He's proud, like his body earns him money. Physical labor, so he's proud of his strength. Strength. What's his weakness? Flaw would be brain injury. And I want to say self-doubt. Because he doesn't trust his mind very much, he doesn't really trust the decisions that he makes very often. So he loses his job. He knows kind of what he has to do, but he doesn't trust those decisions that he's made. Like, do I go and look for a job right away? Do I go try and get my old job back? Yeah. So I think just self-doubt. Do you guys like worry about all the cast of characters at this point? Or are we just focusing on the hero? And then when that's all sort of mapped out, we can go back and add in secondary characters. I've never done it. No. Sorry, I should stop talking. Biological robots. Anyway. Then well, that's the world they live in, so Victorian world. Goes on the quitting time, maybe goes to the bar with coworkers, but doesn't buy a drink. He's worried about money. So worried about money, doesn't make a lot of money. He has a want. He wants to have a more secure future. Problem. That security is in doubt. Even the little existence he's scratched out for himself, not really secure. He could lose his job soon. So he needs something better. Really bad day. But is it really a bad day? Maybe, hold on. Half the workers. Maybe half the workers already been replaced. We'll put a question mark. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to do that. Really bad day, something peculiar. So second, something happens. Okay, we'll say he leaves the bar. But if every chapter has to end in a cliffhanger, well, maybe when he leaves the bar and sees someone needing help, that's the cliffhanger. He hears like, help, help. Actually, no, if they were like robotically controlled, it'd probably be, help, help, I am in need of assistance, help, help. So very, anyway. To investigate. Shouts for help. Finds a woman in trouble. She is being assaulted. He saves her, hopefully establishing some empathy for the guy, more than what is already, and beats up the others. Doesn't know what to do. I'll leave her. Take bar. Decides to help her get to hospital. So, takes her there. BioWare execs show up. Thank him. Give him a card. And if he needs anything, give them a call. They leave. He stays for the hospital food. Actually, hospital food's not too bad. When I was younger, I had my appendix out when I was like 5, I think. It's where I learned to love Brussels sprouts, because they had that. Company. She wakes up. He's surprised to learn that she's a tech worker. Maybe that's this world's word for computer programmer. She's a tech worker, tech something. In danger. She explains that the are getting better. So these robots are getting better. Before they could only do they could only access a person's physical body to control it. But they're getting better. So now these things, some of them, they're starting procedures where they can actually access learned memories. So before, you could tell a robot biological robot BioWare guy, go pick up that book. And it would go and do that and put it on that shelf over there, and it would do that. But it was really just physical things that had to be given instructions to its brain. But now they've figured out that they can, if they find someone who has the knowledge already in them, like say a programmer, and then say, write me a program that does this, they can just send that instruction. The company doesn't even have to know how to do it. As long as the person that they're controlling knows how to do it. So now she's actually, even though the workers are concerned about losing their physical labor jobs, he's found this computer programmer who's lost a lot of work lately and had to take on this job because BioWare is they're getting better. Better in quotation marks, as in worse. They're getting worse and more evil, like Google. Okay. He explains his brain injury and that he couldn't get into the program. She offers to help wipe his medical records, writes her name on the back of the business card. This is a bit longer of a chapter, I think. Okay, chapter 3, grasping at straws. Okay. Next day. Goes to work. Job site is closed to him and his coworkers. Now I feel like this is happening too quickly. Like him being fired should happen at the end of this chapter, and it feels like it's going to happen at the beginning. So maybe it's going to have to be like he has to maybe goes home from the hospital to get some sleep. He sees, it's late, so he sees a whole bunch of these workers. Leaving their flats. Go to work. It's eerie. It's eerie and creepy. Except I can't spell creepy. That's pretty. Anyway. Goes to sleep. Struggles to. Takes his meds for his brain injury. Finally gets some sleep. Exercise too. Anyway, then he wakes up, goes to work. Job site is closed. Is taken into the office one at a time, and each one is fired and let go with a few days' pay. Okay, so end of chapter 3. He's fired. Okay. Just an aside here, just looking at this thing, it says, hey, in most books, the inciting incident should actually happen in chapter 1 or 2. Well, now it tells me what? It's an intrusion on the ordinary world. Something big happens. Maybe a stranger moves to town or a family member dies. See, I'm trusting this workbook more than I was trusting Kristen. Sorry, Kristen. I apologize. I truly do. However, in my defense, I don't know anything. No, am I kidding? I do think that your plot point is not the plot point in Hunger Games, though. But yeah, so maybe he can be fired at the end of Act 2. And then a couple chapters would be the call to adventure. But call to adventure, I mean, in Star Wars, that's, hey, come with me to Alderaan. In The Hobbit, it's Gandalf saying, you're going to come with us on an adventure with the dwarves. Just sign this contract, which they never actually fulfilled. He just got a little chest of gold when he was entitled. Did you see that movie at the end with the mountain? Oh my goodness. That room had acres and acres of gold. He was entitled to more than just a little chest. Maybe he was just kind and didn't take more, but anyway, something extraordinarily different happens. See, I want to read the call to adventure on this one just to help get my mind. Comes to the same time as the inciting incident, or at least very soon afterward. It's the call upon the protagonist to get involved in the story. So the world is changing. He's trying to avoid it, but now he gets fired. And not only that, he probably, you know what? I'm going to say that his boss gives him a BioWare business card for work. Now, call to adventure. He's going to resist it. He spends the day trying to figure out what to do. What should he do? You know what? What would be something weird for someone to do after they lose their job? Oh, hey. Okay, I'm just doing a stream here, so. Let me see. That was the cleaner for the library. Spends the day trying to figure out what to do. He spends the day trying to figure out what to do. I want to say he buys a plant. I don't know why, but the thought of someone reacting to weird news like that, to do something, I've lost a job, so I'm going to get a puppy. Or I've lost a job, so I'm going to go to Vegas and blow my severance. Like, sometimes you just do weird things, and I think buys a few plants. Look after at his place. Next day, okay, he tosses the business cards in the garbage. Because he has to, like, refuse the call. And then goes looking for work. So he's trying to get back into the swing of things. So that's just a general thing. I'm not going to try and... I'm not looking for 6 chapters, and this is 6 chapters in this. So I feel like some of the chapters will end up being combined. So head in the sand. He meets with his friends at bar to talk about what they're all doing. He learns so yeah, this is trying to fit. Yeah, he learns that one of his co-workers is kills himself, committed suicide over losing his job, and was rejected by BioWare. Gives the rest of his paycheck in a collection for the widow. Maybe reluctantly, but yeah. Goes home slightly tipsy. Finds eviction notice on his door. So he's being kicked out. Kicked out tomorrow. So he packs his stuff in one bag. Grabs his new plants. And leaves to, I'm going to say, like an old warehouse, attic, like some old room that he knows about, but maybe no one else does. Like, he's worked in construction, so maybe. Storage. Anyway, so his new house sets up plants, mattress, or bedroll. And then pulls the dirty business cards out of his pocket. So when he left his apartment, he got the business card, flips it over, and looks at the woman's name and number. So that's it. That is the end of Act 1. So if you want to spend the week fleshing that stuff out, I mean, hey, you can just start writing if you want. But I think next week we will continue on with Act 2 and see if we can get, if we can get sort of the whole play fleshed out, or the novel, I should say, so that you have kind of a general idea of what every chapter is about. Then we can go back and we can start writing in earnest, or writing in the computer. That was horrible. I'm sorry. So anyway, hope this has been enjoyable and interesting, and it would be lovely if anyone pops in and wants to share what they're working on, their storyline, what areas they're having trouble with, wanting to bounce off ideas. That would be super. I'd do that if I were you. I would totally do that. Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. Anyway, I think, we'll wait a couple minutes just to round it up to an hour. So maybe just giving a heads up to Act 2 is the first half of Act 2, according to this cheat sheet by Derek. What's his name? Derek Murphy? Yeah. It looks like a good workbook. I recommend you print it out and take a look at it. If you don't use it, that's fine. But Act 2, the first half, is exploring the new world. So that would be like he'd be going to BioWare, learning, the heads up, the people who are bringing him in the program, maybe other people entering the program with him, other people who have lost their jobs and are looking and going through the tests and all the things that they do to check out new arrivals, staying at the facility for a couple days, games and trials. Ooh, yeah, like Hunger Games, where they test everyone's abilities out while they're watching and eating the pigs and eating the apples, and they're shooting arrows and stuff, and Katniss shoots the arrow in the apple. What a feisty girl. Earning respect, first battle, forces of evil, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Act 2, so it should be good. So if you want to peruse ahead, that's what we'll do next Tuesday. Otherwise, let's just work on going back and fleshing out what we've done in Act 1 and try and be comfortable in what exactly happens. A happens, and B happens, and C happens, and D happens, and E happens, and then Act 1 ends. So anyway, it was lovely having you here today, and I will see you guys next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Be there or be square. Ciao.